Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies, strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hello, and welcome to another Tuesday marketing broadcast sponsored by Giver Marketing Network. And we are excited. Hey, Gina.
Hi, Christine.
I love having Gina on the show. We are going to learn so much. I'm just saying, buckle up, get your pen and paper out, time to take notes. Just saying, this woman is a wealth of knowledge. So big shout out to our Giver Marketing Network and all the teams that we partner with, because we love collaborating. So come reach out to us, hang out with us, because Giver Marketing, we're friendly, right? Yeah.
Darn tootin'.
Well, so Gina, I know we're going to have an exciting topic about, I think it's SEO today, right? Ooh, that's like this magic mystery thing that people don't know about. Like, what does this entail, right? So I know you're going to deep dive into that, but how did you get involved in this whole marketing space? How did you get where you are today?
Back in the day when I was in college, it wasn't called marketing, it was called advertising. So I was an advertising major, and my first job out of college was with a manufacturing company. I was in their advertising department, and I've, grown with the industry, and as things changed and became digital marketing, I've just adopted all the technologies and put them in my toolbox.
Well, I think you like to geek out on that stuff too, don't you? Because I know I do.
There's so much to learn. It's, if you're addicted to education and learning, and you're this voracious learner that sucks things up like a sponge, marketing is one area that will never get boring or stagnant.
So true, right? There's something always new coming out, some change, right? Something to keep up with. And SEO has been around for a while, but it's still one of those areas where they're like, I know I'm supposed to do it, but what does that even mean? And how do I do it? And so business owners a lot of times will get confused, right? They're not even sure what to do. They probably don't even know what SEO stands for, right? So I'm hoping you're going to enlighten us today and talk to us a little bit about what we can expect with SEO. So should we pull up our slides?
Sure, I'm ready to go.
All right, if you're ready, I love this topic.
I'm ready to unveil all kinds of secrets. So what I wanted to talk about today is digging into something that we don't talk about enough, and what most digital marketing agencies don't include in their SEO work. So my goal here is really to help you understand what comprehensive SEO really looks like, and how to spot the missing pieces in what you're currently getting, or that you're not getting at all, that you may want to include. So I wanted to go to this next slide, and just in the comments, anybody who's watching this, I want to ask you a question. What do you think SEO entails? Not just what the acronym means, but what it involves. To you, what is SEO? And I'd love to hear what the audience has to say as we go on in this presentation. And I know a lot of people will be watching the recorded version, but I will definitely look at the comments and respond to anybody who comments. So that's my first question. And the reason I ask it is because more often than not, what people think it is isn't what it is. So SEO, Christine said, for those who may be on the call who don't know what it stands for search engine optimization. And it is organic search versus paid search. So organic is, how does Google rank and index you, and how do you get found in a Google search? By taking certain actions and activities to help you get ranked and indexed without paying for advertising. So my history, most of the companies I've worked with have been small to mid-size, and they don't have big budgets. So it's always been, how do I get the most bang for no buck? If I don't have a big advertising spend and I can't throw money at Google ads, what do I do with just me as a resource and my 40 hours a week as an employee, or my X number of hours a week as a consultant? And the answer has always been organic search. And what I think most people learn from agencies and are taught is that SEO means keywords on a website. Boom. Done. That's SEO. No, I'm here to tell you, no, it's not. SEO, that's one component of SEO. Identifying your keywords, optimizing the front end and back end of your website. So all your meta tags and title tags and alt image tags on the back end, and then also your on-page copy on your website. So most agencies offer SEO as a line item. As part of your package, we can optimize your site for you. The reason they do that, it's not that they're bad people or criminals, but SEO takes a lot of time. If you do comprehensive SEO, and agencies have a lot of overhead. They usually have a building, a bunch of employees. So for them to do a deep dive into SEO, that would be all you could pay them for in your retainer. They would never get to the other work that they're going to do for you. So they kind of scratch the surface and do what's required so they can move on to your lead generation work. But what I try to do with the organizations I work with is make them sustainable, make their marketing sustainable so that when I'm gone, their SEO is still working for them and bringing them traffic to their website, that they don't need to be beholden to me for 3 to 5 years and pay me every month to keep doing pay-per-click campaigns for them. There's a time and a place for Google ads, but I feel like they should be either after you get your SEO, your comprehensive SEO done, and you're waiting 6 to 9 months for Google to rank and index you because it takes that long, then you can turn to pay-per-click to drive traffic to your website as supplemental. Or if you're doing a special campaign or a new product launch or something that you want to get attention to, then you can do a pay-per-click campaign, but that shouldn't be your method of continual lead generation for the next 10 years. So it's really complex, and it's ever changing and evolving.
So Gina, let me ask, for those that are going, oh my goodness, this sounds really overwhelming, right? So this is not a set it and forget it. This is something that they continue to work on, or is SEO a one-time thing? I mean, what should they be planning on?
Yeah, we're going to go into that. That's a great question. It does need to be maintained, but it doesn't take the maintenance that like a pay-per-click plan takes. You can do it in-house. You can do it with content, with constantly replenishing your content and utilizing your keywords. So when an agency does SEO, usually it's those meta tags on your website, maybe a few blogs, rarely anything called a backlink, which is a big part of the strategy.
And I'm guessing some of the business owners right now are saying, meta, what, tag, what, back, what?
Yeah, on your website, when you go into like say it's a WordPress site and you go into the programming part of the website, there's all kinds of tags. And any post you make, there's meta tags, header tags, alt image tags. And think of it as Google is blind and reading Braille. So they can't see your images and your pictures. They can't always read everything, especially if you've got a PDF, something not scannable. So when you populate those tags, you're keying Google and telling them what's on that page. What is on that page? What are my keywords? What am I a subject matter expert in? And so you're kind of guiding them as they crawl your site to index you in a search. The way I like to say this, when you ask the question about is does it take maintenance or is it one and done? To me, it's kind of like saying you topped off the wiper fluid in your car, therefore you're maintaining your car. You know, we all know car maintenance takes more than topping off your windshield wiper fluid. So it does take maintenance, but it gets a lot of bang for little buck. So I'm gonna look at this slide and go a little deeper. These common services are what I like to call cookie cutter out of the box solutions. It's like, you know, every company gets provided this, usually in a marketing consulting retainer with an agency. So these are SEO items you'll find in your normal scope of work. Are they important? Yes, they are necessary, but they are the tip of the iceberg. And this is where the work tends to stop. So agencies will do this work and then move on to the blogs, maybe an e-newsletter through email, and then turn to the pay-per-click work. I like analogies and metaphors. I'm a writer and a reader. So I like to say if this is where the work stops, you're leaving money on the table because you're leaving rankings on the table. And rankings in Google and being found in a search and driving traffic to your website is money. Generating leads is money. And if you're not doing comprehensive SEO, you are leaving money on the table. So here's where I deviate. Instead of just turning to ads, including like pay-per-click, Google ads, social media ads, remarketing and retargeting, which if people don't know what that is, think about you go search on Google for a new pair of tennis shoes. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you're on a website looking at energy drinks, and you're on Facebook and you're getting all these ads served up to you about new athletic shoes. That's because when you visited that website, they cookied you and they're tracking you. They're tracking cookies. So they can follow you and serve up ads to you on all your devices and anywhere you go because you looked up that one thing. So you end up beholden to the ad spend because if you stop the ad spend, your traffic tapers off. But with SEO, it's often set and forget, which is what the agencies do right here, set it and forget it. And then they don't continually improve it. They aren't improving the site speed, the mobility usage, the crawl errors, broken links, duplicate content, indexing issues. Those are the technical parts of SEO on your website. And I see it all the time when I run website reports. I'll run a website assessment for a company and it comes back with a C rating from Google. Nobody should have less than an A rating. If you don't have an A rating, you're not going to be found in a search. And that's why people throw money at the pay-per-click because they can't get found in a search because they're not ranking. So they just spend a ton of money on ads. But if you get your website to an A rating and you do what I'm going to recommend in this presentation, you will see sustainable traffic. So here's what it actually is. Here's the laundry list, and I'm not going to go through it, but comprehensive SEO. When I do a comprehensive strategy, this is the more complete picture. It's not just about writing content or stuffing keywords in your website. It's aligning your whole strategy to what Google's organic search algorithm ranks you for. So modern SEO spans so many formats and channels. Visual and local search are huge traffic drivers, especially in B2B marketing. Agencies often overlook those areas. So local search is claiming all your local listings. And a lot of times an agency might might help you with your Google My Business page, but then from there they stop. And there are tons of local listings. You can search online, like, what are all the local listings I can claim? Let's see. Let's do it right now.
So we have local listings. Like you said, people think about Google, but they don't think about there's other places besides Google. What?
Yep. Yelp, Bing, Facebook. And even if you look, there's how to claim local listings for local businesses. And this helps drive traffic to your website. Yellow Pages, Yahoo Local, Foursquare, Cyclix, Local.com. There are so many, and most of them you can claim for free. And for people in industry, like if people are in manufacturing, ThomasNet and IndustryNet, they teach you that you have to pay for an ad there. IndustryNet and ThomasNet will try to get you to spend thousands of dollars to be listed in their publication. You can get a free listing. And I have gotten tons of referral traffic to my companies and clients just through the free listing. So there's all kinds of tips and tricks. Internal linking strategy. What that is about is Google likes to see someone stay on your website a long time. The longer they stay, the better. That means you've got great content. So if they can land on this page and you can link them to that page and link them to this page and link them to this page, think about when you're on YouTube and you go down the rabbit hole. You go click on this and click on this and go on this. That's exactly what it is. You're trying to make your website be a YouTube, be a Pinterest, where people stay there and just kind of keep moving around and looking. Backlink strategy is also very important. So every website has what's called a domain authority. And that tells Google how much authority your website has as compared to others in your industry on the market. And it helps when you increase your domain authority. And there are ways to do it through SEO. One of the ways is getting backlinks to your website from other websites that have higher domain authorities. The way to do that is guest blog. I've reached out to companies and said, hey, I want to do a blog about your company, or can I contribute a blog to your website about thought leadership on X and such topic? People will say yes. They are hungry for content, free services. They don't have to pay somebody to do the work. They don't have to do it themselves. And I'll write a blog and I'll host it on maybe my website, and I'll send the link to their company. And I'll say, hey, PPG, I wrote this blog about your company and I interviewed some of your staff. Would you put this link on your media page? Because I think your customers would want to read this story. Boom, if I get a link from their website to my website's blog, they just lifted me up and they got free publicity. So it's a win-win for everybody. Media and public relations is very important because think about it, everything's digital now. So if you submit a press release to a publication and they print it, it also will go on their website. That gives you a backlink from their website to your site, and Google loves .orgs. So if you've got like a university, a college, a .edu, a .org, that's even more clout because you're getting backlinks from really reputable sources. I contribute content to trade associations and trade publications. Again, they teach you that you have to spend advertising dollars. The publishers tell you to get in our magazine, you've got to spend $3,000 for a full page ad. If you go to the editor, not the publisher, you can get an article, a 2-page article in their publication without paying for it, if it's a thought leadership article and not a sales article. Now, all of this takes finesse. Like, I know I was a journalist for 13 years. I know how to build relationships with journalists. I know what their pain points are, what they need, how to get into their publication. So I've kind of got a backdoor, but it's a way to get free publicity without spending $3,000 for an ad. YouTube video ranks highly because Google owns YouTube. So they love video on your website and on your YouTube channel. So those are some of the things. Social media factors into SEO. So a lot of companies are like, oh, I don't need social media. I don't sell anything there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't social media is social. It's about relationships. It's about brand. But Google crawls social media and they look at how active you are on social media and what kind of engagement you're getting. That factors into their algorithm. Google runs the world. So you have to play their game to be successful in business if you want to do lead generation.
Wow, I know everybody's probably frantically writing down notes right now. I know I am, right? So you think about, oh my goodness, I didn't think about that, right? So we even got a little mini PR kind of guideline there too, on top of everything else.
I do it all. I'm an SEO maniac. It's like that is my area of specialization and passion. I've programmed Google ads and Facebook ads. Am I good at it? No. I subcontract that out and let people do it who do it 8 hours a day and know how to play that algorithm game, because the paid algorithm is very different than the organic algorithm. And I came up through the content ranks. I was a writer. So naturally, being a content producer segues into SEO because now content is so dependent on keywords. And so it just was a natural fit for me. So I want to get into the training educational piece of this presentation.
Oh, because the rest of this had nothing to do with training or education. I would just like to point out.
Well, what I'm telling you, I'm not telling you to fire your agency. I'm not. I love agencies. I have friends who work for them. I've never worked agency side. I've always worked client side, other than owning my own consulting firm. So I am considered an agency. So agencies aren't bad because I am one. It's just like any vendor, you have to vet your vendor. So, try to find an agency, a good agency, and there are many of them out there. They should empower you, not trap you. If they should teach you, they should educate you, they should train your team so that you're not going to always be in the dark and reliant on them for even the most basic changes. So I think, ask questions of your agency. Ask them if if they can help you with internal knowledge transfer, if there's any training available. I had some agencies I used that would do little videos and they'd send them to me and teach me how to do something myself. And as an employee, I was so excited. It was like professional development. Like I was learning a new skill. I was learning a new technology. That was a great agency. Like they helped me grow as a person. So I would say to ask those questions. And so I gave you further things that you can look at when vetting an agency. Ask them what their process is beyond those keywords and on-page SEO. What else do they do? You can ask for samples. Like if a potential client asks me for a sample audit of a website or analytics I've done for a potential client or a strategy document that I've done. Of course, I can't share proprietary intellectual property confidential information, but I have ones that I've swapped out the names of companies and fudged it so you don't know whose strategy that is, just so you can see what's involved in a strategy I do. You do that when you shop for a car, or you go look at reviews online when you go to a doctor. Vet your vendors, vet your subcontractors. Look for people who have industry specific experience. Like I don't do B2C. That's not my area of specialization. There are people out there better than that than me. I specialize in B2B but businesses that sell to other businesses. I have a lot of experience in manufacturing, industrial supply chain distribution. I have a lot of experience in the tech space and software spaces. So you want someone who understands your industry. Ask them again if they do any training and what the transparency is. How long is their average engagement? If they tell you 3 years, 5 years, I don't want to engage with a client for more than a year. I shouldn't have to hold your hand for years. I should come in, set the strategy, get it running, teach you what to do, train your people, and you should be self-sufficient. Do I have clients that are repeat clients? Yes. They'll come to me for other projects. Like I did a project for them, moved on a year and a half later. Gina, we want to do this. Could you come and help us with this and give us a quote? Because I'm their trusted partner. but I'm not holding them beholden to me, paying me a monthly retainer for 5 years. So we're heading out at the end of our presentation. So I am always available. I love helping people. I love networking. I love building bridges and putting the right people together. And if I'm not the right person, I know a ton of people in my network. And I'm always happy to introduce people. I don't see other marketers as competitors. I see them as allies. They all know something I don't know, and I know something they don't know. And we can learn from each other. And a lot of times we collaborate together and we work together, like the Giver Marketing Network. I have had so many successful partnerships from this organization. So if you want an honest SEO audit, or you want to vet your current agency, I don't lie. I'm not going to try to steal their business. I had a potential client come to me and say, I hired this company to build a website for me and do SEO and do content, and here's what they're charging me. Could you take a look at what they're doing and the cost? And I looked and I said, you got lucky. You got a good one. They are doing everything I would do. They're doing it exactly right. And that is a very reasonable fee. I'm not going to undercut that agency. I would be happy to take a look and give you a second opinion. And, if you need any training for your team, like you heard stuff today that you're like, whoa, I want to know more about that. I've taught college since 1995. So I'm used to training and teaching, and it's something I have a passion for doing. So I'd be happy to help in that capacity. And I do give a 30-minute free consultation, and here's all my contact information. If I've confused the heck out of you, feel free to contact me for clarity. I try to pack in as much as I can because, again, I want to be helpful. Like, I want people to know what they don't know. And I don't have anything to hide. I'm not going to, none of what I shared with you is going to make me unemployable. I've got expertise that I want to share with people. And maybe you'll dig a little deeper into this, and maybe this will help your business grow. And that's what I'm in the business of doing. I'm in the business of helping other businesses grow, because your success is my success. And that's what being a giver and being part of the Giver Network is about. Christine's a giver, and everybody in this organization is amazing.
Right, that teamwork, right? And I love that you've had that approach, even working with the companies that you work with, right? The idea is you want to partner with them and educate them. Now, there's the idea of, I want to do things in-house, or I want to outsource it and have someone else handle it. And so you had mentioned the idea was for them to educate them enough so that they no longer needed you, right? A lot of people, I think, assume that SEO is something that you have to outsource and then continue to outsource and continue to pay thousands of dollars a month to do. And that's just an ongoing bill.
I mean, I think
like
if people don't have the in-house resources, that's where they end up having to outsource and pay. If you don't have someone to keep up your blog and do content and do your social media and do the PR and media relations and the press releases and the contributed content to trade publications, then you have to hire somebody to do that. But people who have like an in-house marketing team or a marketing department, I did all that when I was in-house. When I was a 40-hour-a-week employee, that's how I learned to do all that. I had to get creative because I didn't have budgets. My company would pay my salary and say, that's it. You don't have a budget. Work your magic. And so I had to get creative and figure out how to accomplish and achieve those goals without additional spends. And so if you have a 40-hour-a-week employee that's on your marketing team, they could easily accomplish this and more. I mean, I do it for my business. I don't just do SEO. I do everything else. And so it's doable. It's not a 40-hour-a-week job to maintain this.
All right.
It's a part of your job.
If they wanted to hire somebody to handle it, then how many hours should they be thinking, okay, I need somebody to come in and handle this. Maybe I'm going to get a VA that specializes in this and have trained them on this, right? How many hours should they be expecting? You said it wasn't a full time.
No, I mean, it really depends on what stage their maturity is with their marketing program. Like, does someone have to come in and do the foundational work? Is the website 20 years old and hasn't been updated and needs back-end work and developer work? Or is it just maintenance and someone who needs to come in and do the content? So it depends where you are in your evolution. But I would say for an evolved SEO program where it's just, I'm out of the picture and I'm turning it over and you just need to maintain it, I could do that in probably 5 to 10 hours a month.
Oh, really? Okay. So the maintenance, once you've got the solid foundation, you've got everything in your backlinks and all sorts of crazy and internal links and all these things on your master list there that you had that I'm sure we're having a hard time fiercely writing down, right? If we've got all that done, the idea of maintaining it and only taking 5 to 10 hours, that doesn't sound so bad, right?
No, yeah, it's not. Again, it depends on your industry, how complex your product offering is, how many pages is your website? Is it a 5-page website or a 50-page website? So there are variables, but like I said, when I had a 40-hour-a-week job, I had to manage this and everything else I did in my job. And so, I did analytics, I did strategy, I did email marketing, marketing automation, managing social media, trade shows, conferences. So this was one small part of my job. And I was able to do all of that working a 40-hour-a-week job. So it's just a component. And I think it gets, like, one example, one thing I didn't mention, just through organic search, what I talked about today, I worked for a company that when I joined them, they had 7,000 visitors per month, a little under 7,000 visitors per month to their website. That sounds like a huge number to most people. Now, this was not an e-commerce site, but it was like an e-commerce site. You couldn't buy through the site, but they bought and sold used industrial equipment. So every piece of equipment in their 1,000,000-square-foot facility was listed on the website: pictures, video, specifications, prices. And then you had to call or come in to look at the equipment before you could purchase it. Just doing SEO with no ad spend at all, I grew traffic to 32,000 visitors per month.
Wow.
6,000 some to 32,000 just with the strategy that I talked about. So it's doable.
So that's the thing. Is it doable? It's achievable. You can get the results you're looking for and do it organically.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like with an ad spend, you spend it. And like you said, once you spend it, it's done. And that's it. The traffic's done. There's no more traffic coming in from that, right? Whereas if you're building up your SEO, get that foundation set and keep doing that work, it continues to send traffic your way.
Like my own consulting firm, I have not spent any money on advertising, and I've been in business since 2023. I've been doing completely organic and content, and also email marketing and things like this: LinkedIn Lives, podcasts, webinars, lunch and learns, going to some summits and conferences. But it doesn't cost me anything unless I pay for a ticket to get into a conference. But I'm not going to expensive conferences. It might be a $45 luncheon or something. So as when you start your own business, you don't have a lot of budget. So how do you get the most bang for no buck? And I didn't have the money when I started my firm to throw into advertising.
Well, and that's not an unusual position to be in, right? For a lot of business owners. Give one last second. Go ahead and make sure you jot down any of that information, contact information for Gina, so you can reach out to her, right? I know for a lot of small businesses, right, when they start out, they don't set aside the budget. They don't have the budget to start with. A lot of them, I always say, okay, and how's your marketing budget? And they go, I don't have one. Sound familiar?
Yes. Well, what I tell people is industry-wide, usually the average marketing budget is 2 to 5% of revenue. So for a business that has bigger, well, if you're a little bit bigger of an organization, sometimes 7 to 8% is recommended. When I primarily work with manufacturers, because manufacturing and B2B is a little different than B2C, I usually recommend to them 3 to 5% of revenue. And you find notoriously that organizations aren't even spending 0.5%. I went into a $33 million organization and proposed a 12-month marketing program for $44,000. They would get a team of 6 people for 12 months to do all their marketing work. That was as cheap as humanly possible. And they balked at that. And I was like, 44,000, you're not even spending 0.5% of revenue on your marketing. And then you wonder why you're not moving the dial. You wonder why you see marketing as a cost center rather than a revenue generator, because you're not doing it strategically. You're doing it in a scattershot approach, throwing money at the wall, hoping it sticks. And it's not successful. And it's because a lot of times people go to the end of the process. They go to that lead gen when they don't have the process in place and the foundation in place, and then everything crumbles. So,
That's
it's
a
so
great
important.
point, right? When you think about,
Yeah.
people always say, oh, I need leads. I need leads. Okay. Now that you've got all these leads, what are you going to do with them? Do you have processes and systems in place to support these leads? Or are they just going to show up and then that's it? And you have nobody to call them back, talk to them, anything, right? So,
Because
great
Christine,
point.
I mean, being a marketer, how often does a lead come in where they're actually ready to buy and make the purchase? That is not the majority of leads. They need to be nurtured. They need to develop trust, build a relationship with you before they get to that point where they're going to pull the trigger and spend a bunch of money with you. And so every company has a sales cycle. And usually after you've been in business for a while, you know what your sales cycle is. From when a lead comes in to when it converts and actually becomes a paying customer. Some of my clients, their lead time is 1.5 years, their sales cycle, from when they first meet a lead to when they actually make a purchase. So you need to be nurturing them and marketing to them that entire time. And then you can't wait 1.5 years for them to spend. So you need to be bringing other leads into the funnel. And then once they do spend and buy, you need to replace them. So you need to constantly be replenishing that funnel. And that's where I see organizations get in trouble. They're bottom of funnel focused, sales focused. The bottom of funnel taps out, the cash flow taps out, and then they're panicking and then that's when they turn to the digital agencies to do pay-per-click campaigns as a Hail Mary to generate a bunch of leads. And then they complain that the leads aren't qualified because you're going after everybody out there and just getting people to click and trying to get traffic. And it's like finding a needle in a haystack. That's why organic is so targeted and so focused. And it's, if you're hitting trade publications, your audience is there. If you sell widgets and you're contributing a 2-page article in a widget magazine, that's targeted lead gen. So, I think that's a big part of the problem.
Right, getting in front of the right audience, right?
Yes.
And SEO, right? If you've got these keywords, well, how are they finding it? Well, they're searching for these keywords, right? So they're finding you as opposed to you trying to find them, right? Now it becomes more inbound versus outbound. That's a game changer for your business.
And the outbound is so, you're trying to find people who may or may not be interested. With the inbound, like Christine mentioned, if those people are searching for those keywords, they're already interested. You know that they are in the market for that product or service because they're looking for it. The other thing, this is a secret too. I'll share one last secret for those who stuck around to the end. A good way to find qualified leads is to go after negative reviews on Google for your competitors. This is a Gina Tabasso Hail Mary strategy. For instance, if you sell cottages and cabins and your prime competitors are ABC Cabin Maker and DEF Cabin Maker, and you go to Google and go through all their Google reviews and find all their unhappy customers, reach out to those unhappy customers on LinkedIn, see if you can find them. If they're unhappy, they obviously purchase cottages and cabins and they're not going to use that provider again. They probably need a new one. If you're HubSpot, now HubSpot probably doesn't have the time to do this, but if you're a small CRM, go look at HubSpot reviews and find all the unhappy HubSpot users and take them. They're already unhappy. They're leaving that client. They're miserable. They're slamming them on social media. They're your potential client. So that's another little top secret.
There you go. You heard it straight from Gina's mouth right there. You didn't take notes there.
One thing I forgot to mention in the SEO part is those reviews. Google factors very highly into their algorithm reviews. So I have made it a focus of mine for getting reviews online for my business, 5-star reviews. because that really helps in your ranking too. So that's why I actually mentioned looking at your competitors' reviews. That's how I got to it. I was trying to bolster reviews for my company, and then I started looking at competitors, and I was like, ooh, unhappy, unhappy, unhappy. I want to talk to you.
I love it. Okay. So Gina, if people are going, oh my goodness, this is a lot. This, but she obviously knows what she's talking about. What's it like to work with you? If they're just like, I don't even know where to start. I'm looking at my numbers. I don't even know how to find the numbers on my website. I have no idea how many visitors I have, but I know I need more, right? So if you're not tracking any of that, right, you probably need somebody who can come in and give you a hand with that. So if I say, Gina, I saw you on the Giver Marketing broadcast, and I know I need to do something with my website, my SEO. How do we start?
Yeah, I would start by doing that first at a website audit. So I would do an assessment, run it through some software I've got that looks at any of the errors, missing links, ranks your website, and then that report will return results on what you need to improve. And then we would start improving those things. If you aren't tracking your analytics, we would install Google Code on your website so that we could track your analytics through Google. Personally, I usually work in WordPress. I recommend WordPress. You have more control over WordPress. I also would recommend not hosting a website on something like Wix or GoDaddy. You don't own that website. GoDaddy owns the website. Wix owns the website. It is hosted on their servers. I have a prime example. I have a client right now, this week, no joke. Their website has gone down completely because they hired us to rebuild their website. We're in the process of rebuilding that website. It's still in demo. They still have to review and approve content. They had built their original website on GoDaddy. Well, this weekend, GoDaddy had a server outage. Their website went down. We went in and we looked, and we saw that what happened is GoDaddy pushed a bunch of updates for WordPress out to all of the websites they own. And their website was so old and it wasn't being hosted and maintained by someone that their plugins were not compatible with the new updates. So those updates took their website down. So then what we did, we recovered an old version of their website. We installed code to block all the updates. And yesterday the website went down again, and it was GoDaddy and some things that they were changing. And so we're telling the client, we urgently need you to review your website so we can push it live. We rebuilt it in WordPress, and it is going to be hosted and maintained so that every month someone's looking at the website, updating appropriate plugins. If a plugin's outdated, finding a new plugin that we can use instead, making sure that that website doesn't go down and also isn't owned by another organization that has control of your website like that.
Well, you made a good point about the builders, right? When you're using someone else's in-house builder, you're kind of stuck with them and whatever they decide to do, or if they decide to discontinue it. We've had the same problem with different builders.
Poof, your website's gone.
Yeah,
it's not yours. You're renting space.
Whereas if you're building it with WordPress, I always tell my clients, you can take it with you. You can host it somewhere else. You can take it with you. So when you say GoDaddy, the idea wasn't just that it was hosted on GoDaddy, but that it was hosted using their special builder, right? Because they do have a special builder.
Shopify. A lot of e-commerce companies build through Shopify. Same thing. Shopify owns your website then. It is not yours.
You can't take it with you. You can't host it somewhere else. So be careful when you're building websites that are within the proprietary programs that they have, because they don't translate to another location. They really do hold you hostage. That's a great example.
Something like a Shopify, it's locked down. Like it's template built. So you have very little control over your SEO. And so you can't do a lot of the things I recommend and talk about because Shopify doesn't allow you. You can't do anything custom on your website. Like if you want to add maybe an ambassador program or a referral rewards program, if they don't have that module in their software, you can't add it. I always recommend people do a independent build and have it hosted and maintained by whoever you want to.
I'm right with you. I always say the same thing. All right. So you come in, they go, okay, Gina, where do I start? And you're going to, okay, we're going to take a look and where you're at. This way we know where to move forward to, right?
Well, it comes from the Lean Six Sigma background. It's called value stream mapping. So what is your current state? What's your ideal state? And how do we build the roadmap to get from current to ideal? And, that's where we put the tactics in place to get you from A to B.
I was hoping you were going to bring up the six lean, all that kind of stuff, because that's a special area that a lot of people are like, what?
I can't help it.
So if you can't tell, Gina knows what she's talking about. So if you're confused, you're not sure what to do with your website, it's not bringing you in the clients that you're looking for, right? Especially if you're in the B2B space, right? Reach out to Gina, have a conversation with her. She's offering free consultations worth its weight in gold, right? Reach out. There's her web address, barracuda b2b.com. Reach out, connect with her on LinkedIn, right? Make a new friend. You want Gina to be one of your friends.
Thank you. I love friends. I love having good people in my network, in my life. I hold them close and don't let them go. I do want to make it clear too, I'm not a web developer. That's not what I do for a living. I'm more a strategist. So I do a lot of strategy and then guide the implementation. And then I focus on the SEO work. Something like a web build, I do use a subcontractor. I mean, I guide that. My website, you'll see it. My web developer built it for me, but I did my brand guidelines. I had my logo designed. I knew the concept. I picked my font. I picked my colors, my color palette. So I wrote all the content. I optimized the site. So I can do that. I'm just not the technician that does the technical build.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize there's a difference between that, right? You've got all the goods, and having project managed, a website where I wasn't building, that's a lot of work.
A lot of work. And unfortunately, really I see people, they hire their neighbor's kid to build their website for them for $500. And it's nothing better than a business card. It is not doing anything for you in the Google world. Nothing. So and then they pay a lot of money to have it rebuild. Like, I would do it right the first time. And it's not cheap. I mean, a website like mine, like if you look at my website, it doesn't have a ton of pages. Normally, a web developer is probably going to charge you like $3,000 to $5,000 to build a website like that. If it's more complex with more pages, it gets more expensive. But agencies will charge you 10, 15, 20,000. I've had agencies bid 40,000 for websites I wanted to rebuild. They can get really pricey because of the overhead. So it's that balance again of finding the right partner, like someone who's not fly by night, a guy in his garage building websites on the cheap, but an agency that's maybe a husband and wife or one or two people where they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for 30 years. But they don't have the overhead of like a large agency where they've got to charge a markup because of all the staff that they've got.
Mm-hmm. And the brick and mortars and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a wide range, right? You see anything from I'll build your website for $250 to the I'll build it for $250,000, right?
And what's the difference? Now, an e-commerce site gets pricey. Yeah. So if someone's building an e-commerce site, that takes a lot more programming and loading products and shopping cart enabling and all the back end work. It's a lot of development. So e-commerce sites are not cheap.
No, they're definitely not. That's for sure. They're complicated. Mm-hmm. Know your lane, right? Stay in your lane of genius.
But then again, I'll tell you, I use the subcontractor I use who built my website for me. He built an e-commerce website for a client of mine. It was $10,000 for the website in WordPress. It included content, photographs, video. It was quite a lot for $10,000. And so sometimes you can find someone who will work with you on price. And I think people who are consultants like Christine and I, we have wiggle room. There's prices we charge big organizations and prices we charge nonprofits. And of course, a nonprofit or a smaller company or a startup, a lot of times when they don't have the deep pockets, you can afford to be more flexible with them because you don't have that kind of overhead. So I kind of try to meet people where they're at, but I don't work for free. So there are times where even when I discount my pricing, people still can't afford me and I can't help them. They want me to work on commission or something like, well, if you do this for us, when we get our first sales, we'll pay you a % of sales. I have bills to pay. I can't work for free, because if you don't get those sales, I don't get paid. So, you can bend and flex just so much, but we try to do our best.
I know we have a sweet spot for the startups, but we can only give so much. I know. I hear you. It's an ongoing struggle.
The passion projects, those passion
Yes.
projects, and these people are giving everything to this dream. And it is just so, it's an honor to be part of that. I wish I could work with more startups.
Yep. I hear you. Girl after my own heart. There's a reason why I adore you, Gina.
You too.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us about some of your zones of genius, because I know you're a brilliant marketer. So if you're not sure where to get started, you're looking for somebody to kind of help guide you, you might want to reach out, have that conversation with Gina. She's offering that 30-minute conversation right now. So that's worth its weight in gold. Take advantage of that opportunity. Reach out, friend her on LinkedIn, have a conversation with her, and you just never know what kind of gems she might share with you, because she dropped a lot of great ones. That's right.
It's like isn't that a surfer thing too? Like, call me, let's go catch a wave.
There you go. It's coming up in the good weather right now. So yeah, let's love it. Well, so thank you, Gina, so much for being on the show. Giver Marketing Network. Come reach out to us. We have a whole slew of marketers. Gina's one of our brilliant marketers here, and we have so many options. When you think about marketing, and it can be overwhelming, right? You want to reach out and talk to somebody that you can trust and that you feel like, has your best interest at heart. And that's really what it's about. We've got a great group of marketers. And if you are a marketer, don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with us. On Wednesdays, we have Networking for Marketers. We meet every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. You can register for that free event, save it on your calendar, and come hang out with us every Wednesday. So that is
so fun.
It is fun.
We mastermind.
givermarketing.com/networking.
Yeah, we problem solve, we have laughs, we share pets, it just becomes a group of friends. And I mentioned how I don't specialize in pay-per-click, and I sub that out. I actually sub it out to someone in the Giver Network. He has become my partner, and so I use someone from this organization.
Absolutely. It's marketing is such a broad area, right? And so when you can get talented in and right in what you do best, right? Then you need to partner with the other people to do what they do best, right? And you put us all together, and it's like instant agency. So have some fun with us. Come hang out with us on Wednesdays. And of course, we'll be back next Tuesday for our Giver Marketing broadcast. And we will see you then. Thank you.
Thanks for the honor, Christine. Bye.